Hello. This is a garden update. I know in the last video I said that I don't really grow flowers, and I don't. But the people who lived here before us did. She seemed to be a pretty extensive gardener for like visual things. So we have a lot of flowers and stuff planted that just regrow on their own every year that we never planted. So here there's a lot of leaf cover, but you can see, I actually don't know what this is. These are irises coming up. That's more of this weird leaf thing. At the back we have daffodils, which you can see right here. I kind of chopped them all down. I was afraid they were lily of the valley because we do have a section in here that was lily of the valley that I've been trying to eradicate, and I haven't checked to see if it's coming up again yet. Okay, we're just not going to do that right now. We've got some rose here. You can see the buds just starting. I'm hoping the road noise isn't too loud. I have my mic plugged in to hopefully limit that. Here is another bush. I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of the earliest flowering things we have, and it smells very floral once it's in bloom. There are also bachelor buttons that come up in here, and some other kinds of flowers that I can't remember right now, but you'll see them later in the year. Here's a small rhododendra that the other half has put a fence around because the deer started eating it this year. There's more roses here, and that's that small section. There's another rhododendra out front of our house. It's quite large. In the first years that we lived here, I tried to kill it because I hated it. And I couldn't. It survived and thrived. And then that was like going on 10 years now. And this year, a bunch of ice fell off the roof of our house and crushed the back half of it. And it's looking a little worse for wear these days. There's also a woodpecker happily pecking trees in the background. That's what that hammering sound is. I didn't get to show you this last time, but I did mention it. This is the grape situation. Everything still looks kind of brown. It's only been a little bit. Here's some blackberries that have established themselves here. This that's not it. This is it. It kind of pops up in different spots. Goes over here and comes back up, and then this is kind of the main part that we saw, and it's got itself weaved into this fence which surrounds our berry patch to keep the deer out, but a tree fell down out of the woods the other day and kind of crushed this part of the fence, so it needs to be rebuilt. But here you can see the kind of edge of it that's spread into the fence. And there's little buds there. We'll see. We're going to see what happens with it. We're going to put a trellis, I think like an arch trellis on this side. And on the other side of our property, we have the little grapevine that's in front of the other blackberries. And that's on just a traditional kind of line style trellis. This is where I've planted my lovage, right where those 3 sticks are. And then right here in this little bare patch, I did throw down some of the echinacea and bee balm seeds. Right there where those vines are, those are my borage vines, not vines, but stems from last year. And just moving over here, probably could have went inside. Maybe I'll do that. This is a giant blueberry bush. I'm actually going to go in. hopefully I don't trip. I always trip going over this fence. Oops. So this area that you still can't really see is raspberries. The blackberries that popped up over there are slowly invading. And on this side is also raspberries. You can see we have cardboard and wood down to keep the paths, or they just grow up everywhere. You can see some of them here. That's that. This is our original currant bush. I also have stones down here. I'm going to replace those though, because as you can see, everything just grows up between them. This actually looks like it might be strawberries. Could be wild strawberries. Or it could be strawberries that have spread from ones that we used to have in our asparagus patch. But this is the currant. You can see it's just, the leaf buds are just starting to open. Then we have one blueberry. This blueberry we actually had to cut down last year. I can't remember why, but it's regrowing itself nicely. Under here, there is orange balm. It fills out this area nicely and keeps the weeds down. This is our largest blueberry, which if you kind of see my shadow, hello. I am 5 feet 4 inches, and this is at almost my shoulder. So that gives you kind of, this is really filling out this year. This is new this year, this, and those are all new stems, and then the old ones have a bunch of new stems. Then there's another blueberry over there next to that pool full of dirt, which is our puppy pool, but we used it to empty our potato pots last year, so that's why that's sitting there. Those pots underneath that board are the ones for my squash and pumpkin for later. Here's another shot of the currants. Then this monster, which you also can't really see, is our gooseberry bush. The thorns on this thing get me every single time I walk by it. You can see the leaves are opening. Ow, oh, darn, see, I just stabbed myself. I'm going to show you what the spines look like in case you've never seen them. That is one right there. Right there. They are dangerous and they stab you and it's unpleasant. This gooseberry bush has been, and this currant, the currant gets aphids. It's a red currant. This gooseberry bush last year fruited so much, and then it got decimated by sawfly larvae caterpillars. And that has happened like the last few years. We've had this plant now for, I mean, it's quite big, for quite a few years, and they get to it every year. But last year it was just like one day a few leaves were gone, and then the next day all of the leaves were gone. But obviously it survives, so it's not detrimental to the overall health of the plant, but a lot of the berries died just because we lost so much of the green matter. But you can see it's fully alive, springing back to life. It is now April 25th. And we do plant potatoes, and I did have these planted last video I made. I just forgot to mention them. You saw the piles. So this is where our asparagus goes. Right here is the established plant, and then I've planted more last year in here. I think 3 of them came up. There might have been 4. It was kind of hard to tell because it was a little overgrown at that point. But usually we plant potatoes in pots when we've done them. And last year it rained a ton, and I think they just got too much water, and we did not get very many potatoes. So this year I was like, I'm going to do them in the ground. Except our ground here, well, the blueberries absolutely love it. It is, if I can kind of dig down here in my shoe, if you can see that, that is pretty much 100% clay soil. And that's how a lot of our property is. clay. So I built up a significant portion of compost and soil that we had from the pots last year and planted the potatoes kind of just at the surface of the natural like clay, and then we'll top them off if they need to be topped off. But we've planted red Pontiac potatoes, Yukon Gold potatoes, and then just russet potatoes that I had that sprouted in the cupboard. So we'll see how that goes. This is also raspberries and a bunch of just wildflowers that have naturally populated the area. That pot was tobacco. My boyfriend grew huge tobacco plants last year just to see if he could, and they were ginormous. And I don't know if you've ever smelled fresh tobacco plants. They are extremely fragrant. Anyways, it was a fun experiment. Now they're all in the compost. It was great for flies. The flies are attracted to the plants, and then the leaves are kind of sticky. There's one of my cats. And then the flies get like addicted to the nicotine, so they just like stay on the leaves. So the leaves get like coated in flies. Anyways, it's one of my cats. He's going on, I think, 19 this year. He'll probably follow me around the yard. Our rhubarb, after the last video where it was really tiny, has really started to sprout back up. You saw the chickens at the beginning. We have chickens, and so we get a lot of compost from that. We compost all of our food scraps and everything from the chicken run and the chicken coop. At the end of the winter, we mix it all in. It sits compost through the summer and the winter, and then in the fresh spring, we usually have a ton of compost, so it works really great. So one year, in the fall, I took much of the compost and I piled it on the rhubarb, and the next year, it got huge. And ever since then, it's been doing fantastic. We have let it flower, which traditionally people don't do because it produces less leaves. There's only 2 of us, and we still have a ridiculous amount of rhubarb that we give away. But if you've never seen a rhubarb flower, it's kind of insane. I'll see if I can find one of the photos and stick it in for you, because it's crazy. This is where the herbs are sitting right now. So I've got, hope the microphone cord isn't bumping the microphone. This is the chamomile from last year. It's still regrowing a little bit. I think I'm just going to completely redo that pot. I might let this one go, but my other seeds haven't arrived yet. I was hoping they were going to arrive today before all the rain tomorrow, but unfortunately it's going to have to wait until Monday, which is when they'll probably get here. The thyme is coming back to life. I topped off all these pots, so they sunk down quite a bit over the winter. I just put them in last year. Before that, they were in other spots, and I kind of consolidated them into this area around our hops plant, which is what that is. You can see the vines from last year. And I know I mentioned in my last video the brief warning about hops being invasive. If you can see kind of on the ground, there's like a square that goes across this way. This is where our original garden bed used to be. It was a raised bed that we dug down into the clay also and mixed in compost. And one year, my boyfriend planted hops at the back of our garden, and never do that. Never plant hops in your garden if you're going to plant it. If you are going to plant hops in the ground, plant it well away from anything else. It's hungry, it's aggressive, and it's highly invasive to anything surrounding it. This is planted in a pot in the ground to prevent the rhizomes from coming out. And that's why a lot of these are in pots. So these are all mint family. This is strawberry mint, this is orange balm, and this is lemon balm. And I topped off all the pots. You could see them growing originally, but I put in about probably like 2 inches of soil on top just to bring up the level in the pots, and to give them a little bit of fresh nutrients. So you can't see them right now, but here you can see the kind of stub of the, oh, there's a little leaf of orange balm right right there. These were already established plants I had. They were just put in the pots. The strawberry mint was fresh last year. Oh, it smells so good. If you have a chance to grab those, definitely get it. I was just at our local greenhouse, opened today, and I went today and they had some for the second year in a row, and I was tempted to buy some more, but I really don't need to because I can just propagate anything I need from this pot. That is my savory that I planted. It is not growing yet. It's only been in the ground a few days, so, but it's staying nice and moist, and the squirrels are staying out of it. The onions have started to really perk up. You can see them. These got disturbed and replanted in here this year. This is the boards. I said I was trying the board method for my carrots to keep the soil moist. The soil is quite moist still. We've had a little bit of rain on and off, and I've made sure to keep them watered, but they're just under here waiting to sprout. That leaf down there is just a weed. But yeah, so some of these are Egyptian walking onions. I think these ones that are in bunches, and definitely this one, which I probably should have separated when I replanted it, but I just stuck it all in together. And then I think these individuals, I think this is a garlic, actually. I planted some random garlics last year and they never came to fruition, but this is definitely not onion. So I think that might be garlic. Yeah, so you can see the difference. These are round and these are flat. So this is our onion patch that regrows every year. This is where I have my peas planted, and this is new. I just finished putting this together last night. It's the trellis for my peas and what will be my cucumbers, which I'm going to plant on the other side here. All the motorcycles are out in force in the beautiful spring weather on this side. So, and then I have the other variety of carrots here, and then in between these little sticks here, this orange stick and this orange stick, and those two, that's where I planted the radishes. And my oregano, I bought a new oregano plant today, just in case, because every day more of this looks dead. Definitely the center of the plant. Oh, this one's still green. So there is still some life. Some of this isn't oregano. This is just weed. But some of it is still green. Some of it that has extended roots. So oregano, this is a ground growing oregano, like a creeping variety. So you'll notice all these roots that got ripped up. I should probably try and replant them, but some of it that has extended root system will stay alive. So I'm not giving up on it 100% yet. We'll just have to see. This pot, which is significantly bigger, is what remains of my peppermint patch, which used to be a lot bigger. Again, if you're going to grow the mints, grow them in pots. That's my at least starting advice. I have lemon balm planted actually in that flower patch that I showed you earlier. And I have orange balm planted over by the blueberries, but those have been very self-limiting in those environments. But peppermint is what I'll call a true mint. I wouldn't consider the balms, the orange, lemon, and strawberry, to be true mints. They're kind of like mint light. Peppermint is a true mint, and it is much more aggressive. You can see the spines of it growing all around the pot. It does its best to escape this. The dirt, even just touching this, smells so much like peppermint, even though this part's dead. This isn't coming up yet, again, because I topped it off with some fresh soil, but it will sprout in no time and be back to life like the demon that it is. This is where the midget savory is planted. Again, still no, sprouties, but it's only been a few days. Cat's following me. Chickens are wandering out over there. At least the two adults, our rooster and our one remaining hen. The little ones, we're not sure who's a boy and who's a girl yet. So we'll just wait and see about that. If there's anything else I wanted to show you there. The sage does have a few new leaves on it. The extra pots you see are just straggler tobacco pots from last year that haven't been emptied yet. Let's move along. I'm trying to think of the best way to show you this without showing the house, but this is the huge rhododendra. And as you can see, a lot of it is brown and dead. But the blossoms are still here, and I think they're going to open. This is the back half of it, which is not looking so great. It needs to be pruned off the dead parts, and then it will probably come back to life more. Over here, this is a small bush. I'm not sure what it is, but it flowers, and we have to keep cutting it to keep it nice and small. This is a black currant, as you can see, nicely starting to leaf out. Currants are really good earlier fruit producers in the year. This is a giant. I used to think it was a dogwood, but I think it's a Japanese something. I got a good picture of it when it blossomed last year, and it just gets covered in these. I think the flowers are yellow. And the bees love this thing. It's covered in bees when the blossoms come out. So there's that. And down there's some weird little plants. This over here is our raspberries. And there's a stupid, annoying wisteria vine that grows in there. And trying to eradicate that thing has been a nightmare. This is the blackberries. I'm gonna, in comparison to the size of the spines on the gooseberry bush, you can see a lot of people hate that blackberries. You can get thornless varieties have thorns, but like compared to the gooseberry, this looks like nothing. And it's getting ready to leaf out as well. However, where both the currants and the blackberries are leafing, the blackberries won't be ready until September, August, but the currants will be ready much earlier than that. Our little tiny grapevine, still looking like nothing. And we'll walk around here. Still have the little step. Currant hasn't grown. I'm pretty sure this is gonna, it's got a green little bud on it, so this is gonna grow back no problem. Currants are pretty deer. They hold up well to deer pressure. You can see this looks dead, but all these buds are still alive. That's just new growth from last year. See a bunch of, lots of fruit there, I think. So these are a mix of red and pink and black. But they're all doing well. This one, by far, which probably gets the most sun on both sides, is the most leafy. I do have a little fence over them just to keep them out. You can see little trails of berry things on this one from last year. All right, this is the back part of the blackberry patch, which, fun discovery of last year was this. Again, trying not to give away the location, but is a elderberry tree, which has also been eaten by the deer. There's another one right here, which also got eaten by the deer, and those just came up. Just noticed them last year, noticed the flowers. I was like, oh damn, free elder tree. So that was great. Now I will take you, sorry if this walking around bouncy camera is not great. I'll take you down to our little orchard, and I don't think much has changed down there, or that I could show you, but we'll see. This might be fun for someone. This is a bittersweet nightshade vine, which also just grows wild here. It popped up in our garden one year, and then I've been noticing it around the property. It likes to grow on this willow, but you can see the little fuzzies growing out on the willow. They're so soft, and then they turn into these weird green things. This is one of the plum trees. You can see there's a lot of buds. These little buds are going to be where the flowers are. The little ones on the stems. So hopefully we get some plums. This cherry tree has produced cherries in the past, just a few. It's still pretty small. This is our sour cherry. This is the Montmorency. Yeah. But it also has a lot of flower buds. The problem with this is the ants and the aphids. The ground down here gets really wet. It kind of floods in the spring and the fall occasionally. This year we've been pretty good. I planted a lot of clover because it also got tore up a lot. When it floods, it kind of does this thing where there's like the mud all along the bank. This is a pear. And let's see if this says, so this is a Comice pear, and this is a dwarf. This tree's really small, and it's actually never even put out flowers. So I'm hoping this year, I think this is its third year. This is either its third year or its fourth year being here. And there's definitely a lot of buds. And as long as the temperature doesn't drop drastically, I think we will get flowers on it. And it should be pollinated because of our other pear tree. This is our oldest tree. It is an Italian plum. It's pretty big. You can't see, you kind of see, because while the trees behind is thriving, but it has not produced any fruit. Last year it flowered. Last year it flowered really well for the first time, but all the flowers died off. So we'll see. This is the tag for this. This is a semi-dwarf. So actually, I can show you something interesting. Is you can see where the trunk is expanding. So the rootstock is really narrow, but the trunk of the plum tree wants to be a lot more substantial. So as it grows, I originally thought there was something wrong, but it's just the trunk. It's just an expansion crack. So I was actually really happy to learn that, because I was really worried something bad was going to happen. We're going to lose the tree. This is kind of, you can't really, the colors in this are all gone, but this is what the fruit will look like. This tree is a McIntosh apple tree, and it's in the lowest point that always floods. The soil here doesn't drain great on this side, but it's coming back to life. I really thought this thing was a goner last year, and it just goes to prove how resilient the trees can be. This is my little pride and joy peach tree. You can see it's got a lot of buds. And this is supposed to be self-fertile. So I'm hoping I won't ever need a second one. It seems like people have pretty good luck with peach trees. It seems less so with pear trees. But this is the kind that it is. It's still quite small, but this is all new growth. Last summer after it was planted, so I think it's going to do really well. Now I forgot about this tree, which is protected with cages and stuff. This little tiny tree was planted as a bare root last year. It's a Liberty apple tree, and it's supposed to be resistant to fire blight, which we planted an apple tree. Okay, I had to wait for all the cars to go by, but we planted an apple tree in a different corner of our yard, and that was, I can't remember what kind it was, but it got fire blight and it died. And so now when we were looking at getting a new tree, we wanted to make sure we got ones that were resistant to that. I'm noticing this, which is concerning to me. Could just be bug damage, I don't know. That's the thing, when you have all these things, you really start worrying about them, and I'm trying my best not to over manage things. Nature knows how to take care of plants, and if they're meant to be here, then they'll survive, and if they aren't suited to this environment, then something will take them, and that's a lesson that you learn. This is a sweet cherry, and I don't know what kind it is because the tag is missing. It may have blown off into the ground. Is that it? That could just be a piece of garbage. Yeah, take that. This is where my pumpkins were planted last year that didn't survive. But this is a sweet cherry, and it also has lots of buds. So fingers crossed, it does well. This is the pear tree. It's doing well. This is a Red Delicious apple, which is my boyfriend's favorite apple, and he bought 2 of those trees last year. So this is all of the fruit trees we have, and by golly, it will be all of the fruit trees we ever get, which we said several times, and then every year we add one, at least it seems. But if you're thinking about fruit trees, they do take quite a while to grow. You'll see in the summer, we get frogs in here, and like the water skeeters, you can see some of them there. I don't want to walk in this tall grass because deer frequent this area, and I don't want ticks on my legs. Where'd they go? Cat's going for a drink. But this area just fills with wildflowers, and one of them is, this was an anthill, by the way, that we need to like get rid of. A lot of fallen down trees. We've had a couple storms in the last couple of years that have taken out a lot of the trees down here. But like little blue forget-me-nots are just all over the place down here in amongst everything else. And I love them. They're one of my favorite flowers. Even though technically they're like a naturalized flower. They're not native to the area. We do get raspberry canes, and that looks like a blackberry cane in here. That's a blackberry cane. They're just like, they pop up everywhere. That's pretty much it. These are daffodils as well. They're really, if you want a really early blooming flower, it's just, these weren't planted by us either. They were planted by the previous owner, and they don't last that long, and then they die, and then you're just left with all this green foliage, which we end up mowing over. And I saw in a video the other day that someone said not to mow the greens, and we literally mow this area every summer, and they still come back. So see a bunch of them there. This area will also get filled in with, that will be, I think that's everything. I'm sure I missed something again, but we'll see. Bye guys.